edition of Boston Sports. Give us a ring at 512-543-4662. Be sure to download the Try 99 TV app on any smart device and subscribe to In the Zone Sports Talk Television. The cost is $4.95. Thank you in advance for your support. Now, let's get into the Shamrock Sports Talk Show. Hello, and thank you for tuning into the In the Zone Sports Talk Show Network, LLC, where you can find the best in sports talk television and radio shows. Mondays, check out the Just Us Sports Talk Show from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with your hosts, Kevin L. Dixon and Dana Clark. Then Tuesday, we have the Stars Talking Cowboys Sports Show from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern with your hosts, Sean Fox, K Boogie, and Cowboys Nikki. And on Wednesday, tune in for the Out the Block Sports Talk Show from 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with hosts Robert Lewis, Donna Hainsworth, and Brett Shields. Then meet up with us on Saturday for the Enhanced Sports Talk Show from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern with hosts Lou Tenor and Steve Davidson. We also have the DMV Sports Talk Show from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern with your host, Razul McGee. As well, we have the Shamrock Sports Talk Show from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern with Igor Mitic and Andy Vernon. Finally, rounding out the week, we have on Sunday, That's Not How We See It Sports Talk Show from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern with your host, Alfred Wallace, Tony Wallace, and Harold Robinson III. These shows come to you by way of the In the Zone Sports Talk Show Network, LLC. Be sure to download the Try 99 TV app on any smart device and subscribe to In the Zone Sports Talk Television. The cost is $4.95. Thank you in advance for your support.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Live after 2 weeks pause. We are back, the Shamrock Sports Talk Show at And the Zone Sports Talk Radio. This is episode number 49. I'm your host, Igor Mitic, and after necessary intro, you saw that my co-host, practically not the guest for tonight, will be Mr. Richard Conte from Tech&Life Podcast, associate for long years, very knowledgeable Celtics fan. Hello, Rich, and how are you doing? And what are you doing podcast-wise? Are you writing something?
Hey, Igor, great to be here. It's always good to talk with you. Yeah, it's got the, for
Same.
those of you listeners who are interested in technology, I've got the Charleston Digital Corridor Tech&Life Podcast, where we, feature stories about the tech industry and tech entrepreneurship in the Charleston, South Carolina area, which is where I'm based.
Okay, meanwhile, I'm trying to change this, maybe, yeah, I finally got what did they do. So this is probably the best background for us. Okay, so while we are talking, the Celtics are starting playing with the Clippers. So let's TD Garden, the Celtics are 35-10, Clippers are 29-14. The Clippers with James Harden, with Paul George, and of course Kawhi Leonard. I think that Kawhi Leonard is injured. So the Clippers are in solid form. But the Boston Celtics are the favorites, obviously. The Celtics are in 3 games winning streak after losing to Denver Nuggets. And the Denver Nuggets right now are struggling with Philadelphia without Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid and couple of other starters. So Philadelphia without Maxey and Embiid, they are playing tied with the Denver Nuggets. But Paul Reed is playing good, and Marcus Morris Sr. Is alive and playing good, and Nicholas Batum and a couple of other guys. So this is interesting game in Denver, and it will be interesting game in in Boston, because Boston is host. So what do you think about tonight's game? Do you think that the Celtics will have troubles with the Clippers?
The Clippers have been, one of the better teams in the league over the past month and a half. When they made the trade for James Harden, I think a lot of folks, myself included, were very skeptical as to how that mix was going to work. But they've been playing really well. And actually, if folks remember, about a month ago, or at least last month, the Celtics went into Los Angeles. Clippers had already started to turn it around at that point. I think they had a 4 or 5 game winning streak going, and the Celtics beat them pretty handily out in LA. Celtics are coming off a big win, couple of big wins on the road. That Miami game, of course, Miami's team, Celtics always get up before. So, they could, suffer a little bit of a letdown first game in a long homestand after being on the road. You tend to maybe let the foot off the gas a little bit, or feel a little bit of a, lack of urgency. So that may hurt them, but it should be a good game. Clippers have Paul George tonight. He is playing, but I believe they're missing Kawhi Leonard. Celtics are, of course, without Kristaps Porzingis. Tweaked his ankle in Miami the other night. It didn't really hurt the Celtics all that much. They cruised to a victory, but he turned an ankle going up for a rebound, or actually coming down from a rebound with Bam Adebayo, and turned the ankle. It looked pretty bad right when it happened. He seemed to be in quite a bit of pain, but then he was on the bench after they checked it out, sort of joking around with guys. So hopefully he's, missed a couple of the games, let it heal, and then, be back in action.
I have actually the update about Kristaps Porzingis after injury scare. He produced 19 points and 4 rebounds in the Celtics win, 143-110 over the Heat. Only negative is his ankle injury, because Kristaps proved to be the key Celtics guy. Let me just put the picture. I think that I have the picture about Kristaps and his performance. If I didn't forget to upload it, but never mind, I will find the statistics anyway. So Kristaps is very important, if not the most important player, because after Tatum, but Celtics without him are not the same. We talk about that in previous shows. Just after 5 minutes in the second half, Porzingis longed to contest Bam Adebayo's baseline jumper near the basket, and then he landed, came down to the foot, rolling his ankle. But after limping off the court, so he returned to the bench. He appeared to be in good spirit, pretending to box out with Jaylen Brown. After the game, he said, "I just went to contest Bam's shoot, and then I came down, landed on my foot, rolled the ankle, not too bad, just in the moment. It is kind of, he got me pretty, but feeling pretty good right now." So the former All-Star didn't declare out for the rest of the matchups, but he said he could have gone back but erring on the side of cautious, because of cautious. So given the contest took place in late January, not the playoffs, he didn't play. And while he's relieved about how's he feeling now, he said, when he will be back, I hope so. I think tomorrow will be clearer, but especially after the flight. But right now, feeling pretty good and positive. Rich, like you said, the game just started in the TD Garden. Boston leading 5-4. Paul George, Leonard, Harden, Mason Plumlee, and Terrence Mann for Clippers. For the Celtics, Holiday, Horford, Brown, Tatum, White, Porzingis out. Rich, so the Celtics are trying to catch the fourth consecutive win against really solid Clippers team. Again, you said that the Clippers are looking good. I still am not putting them into the first class of favorite teams at the Western Conference. I don't know why, because I don't have confidence in them. I think that their core is aged and past their prime. Uh, all of Harden, Leonard, and George, they are injury prone and past their prime. Really solid team again. They can make some surprises in the first or second round in the playoffs. But at the Western Conference, you have the teams that are young and upcoming at the top: Minnesota Timberwolves and Oklahoma City Thunder. Denver is down because they had problems with injury. Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, Jokic is there, but they have troubles with injury, and this year they are not deep as the last year because they lost Brown and a couple of other guys I cannot remember. So they are not at the top of the conference. Clippers are there, of course. Lakers are there, but top teams of the Western Conference, Minnesota and Oklahoma. What do you think about those teams? Do you think that Oklahoma and Minnesota will be fourth in the playoffs, or do you still believe in the veteran playoff teams?
Yeah, you have to assume, until they prove otherwise, Denver will be in the mix, once it gets to, April and May. As you said, they have, a little bit of a championship hangover this year due to some injuries. Of course, you lose a couple of guys, but at the end of the day, they've got, a top 2 or 3 player in Jokic. We saw what Jamal Murray could do the other night against the Celtics. He had a big game. So, you have to assume that, when playoffs come, they'll be a force to be reckoned with. But beyond that, if they can't do it, if they're truly, taking a step back this year, the West is pretty wide open. You mentioned a bunch of teams. Of course, Minnesota had the really hot start, and then Oklahoma City came on and has sort of been flip-flopping with them for the number 1 spot over the past week. I think there's about a half a game difference between the two teams. I think if I had to, if I had more confidence in one of those teams than the other, it would be Minnesota, largely, based on the defense they've, been playing.
Yeah.
That's always a good sign for a young team, right? A young team that's out there outscoring a lot of folks. You have to kind of wonder what's going to happen in the playoffs when things tighten up. But, defense is kind of hard to, to fake. And the fact that they've been one of the better, if not the best defensive team in the league so far this year, I think really speaks well from them. And, certainly while he's young and he hasn't really done it in the playoffs, Anthony Edwards, just seems to have that aura about him as a player who can, will come up big in big moments. So, I expect them to, it'll be a test for them. We'll see how real they are once the playoffs start. But, I would be shocked if they're not there in the conference finals. Oklahoma City, another young team, again, doing it more on offense and defense, although it's not like they've got a terrible defense. But, that's a lot of guys who, particularly Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who played really well this year. And you sort of have to, just tip your cap to them, but then wait and see what they're able to do in, once the playoffs comes around, because they haven't been there. So that'll be a big test for them. You mentioned the Clippers, your Celtics opponent tonight. The one thing, certainly they've got a lot of question marks in terms of age, in terms of durability, being there in the playoffs. But, if things break their way, that's a lot of top end talent. And if they can manage to play together and all be there and be healthy, I could see them making a deep run and, outside shot at, making the finals. The Pelicans have been sort of flying under the radar, playing really well lately. That's another young team. Of course, they've got CJ McCollum, who's a bit of a veteran influence. But I think they could be a dark horse for a conference finals spot. Lakers are always there. Phoenix, of course, put together all that talent in the offseason. They didn't play particularly well to start the season, but as the season's gone on, they've been playing much better. They're at 26-19 now, 7 games above 500. So, yeah, I mean, if Denver isn't going to return to the finals, then I would say the West is really wide open with 4, 5, maybe even 6 teams, that could all take that spot. So it should be a fun playoffs.
Okay, good stuff, Rich. Now I found what I have been looking for about Porzingis, and I have a couple of other informations. You mentioned Minnesota and Oklahoma. Oklahoma is team fun to watch, but I think that I can agree with you. The people are not talking about Minnesota as much because they are not attractive as Oklahoma is, but they are playing better defense, and totally agree with you. And Oklahoma is young and upcoming team, and I think Stephen A. Smith said that it will be a rivalry between Anthony Edwards and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in the future at the Western Conference. But what I want to say is that somebody from the Celtics journalist mentioned Bill Simmons, that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, in his opinion, is better player than Jason Tatum, which is ridiculous. I don't know how he drew that conclusion. Oklahoma won against the Celtics, but in the playoff series, I don't think that they would win against the Celtics, and I don't think that we will see in this year the series between the Celtics and Oklahoma City Thunder anyway. But I mean, how did he draw the conclusion that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is better than Jason Tatum?
Yeah, I mean, Simmons has become more of a media personality than, really a kind of serious analyst. He's always been an entertaining guy. He says a lot of things, right? But, in fairness, the point in the season when he said that, I believe was about 3-4 weeks ago. So, at that point in this season, Alexander was playing better than Tatum. Right? Does that make him a better player?
No,
I don't think so. I don't think many general managers or coaches, if they had to win a game in the playoffs, would pick Alexander over Tatum if they had their choice, right? So, we'll see where the dust settles. Of course, since he said that, Tatum, has been playing extremely well. I think he had one. I think the Houston game, he didn't play particularly well, but beyond that, he's been averaging 30 plus a game. And the thing is, he's doing it on both ends of the court and on the boards. And that's one thing you have to tip your cap to. Is there's a lot of guys in the league putting up gaudy numbers. We've seen it this week. I mean, gosh, we had a 73-point game, a 70-point game, a 62-point game, and
Joel Embiid.
But what kind of defense are any of those guys playing? Whereas night in and night out, Tatum's bringing on board. I think Joe Mazzulla even made a comment. When he was asked about the scoring output. And, he said, there's only a handful of teams whose best players also play defense. And so, you're going to have guys have nights like that. I mean, Tatum has had a 60-point game, several high 50-point games. I think there was a little bit of something, I believe earlier this week was the anniversary of Kobe's 81-point game. So I think some 81. Of that has sparked a bit of the scoring outbursts this week, which, by the way, Kobe would have hated. Right, that guys, decide to, do that just because he did it, in games where, I mean, there were several of them were big point scoring games and losses, which is always kind of cock your eyebrow out a little bit, but yeah, I mean, Alexander's having a great season still. He's a great player. I mean, I
absolutely.
think he's potentially, if he can keep it up through this season and into the playoffs, pushed himself into being a no doubter top 10 player in the league.
He's the
Is he a
starter
better
here.
player than Tatum? No, I wouldn't think so.
He's NBA All-Star starter.
Yep.
Since you mentioned, let's mention this, that NBA All-Star starters at the Western Conference: Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Oklahoma; Luka Doncic, Mavericks; LeBron James, always there until he retires, I think. Then Kevin Durant. I'm going to question Kevin Durant's presence here. Yes, he's playing good, but I don't know. Suns are not at the best form, Jokic is there with the reason. At Eastern Conference, I have no objections. I mean, 2 Bucks ahead of, for example, the Celtics. I don't know why, but never mind. And Philadelphia, of course, Embiid is MVP candidate. The Bucks defeated the Celtics once. The Celtics defeated Bucks once, but the Celtics are a better team than the Bucks this season. So I don't know why Damian Lillard is there ahead of, say, Jaylen Brown or Kristaps Porzingis or Derek White per se. I don't know, but I really hope that the Celtics will have at least one more All-Star at the bench, Jaylen Brown. But I'm hoping for Kristaps Porzingis or Derek White, because those guys deserves one of them invitation in the case of injuries or something, because the Celtics are the best team in the NBA, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think Jaylen Brown is a no doubter. He'll make the roster. I think Porzingis, I would be surprised if he doesn't. I think White deserves it. It remains to be seen. I mean, the tough thing is they have to expand these all-star rosters. If you look, teams carry 15 players apiece, and the all-star rosters are, I believe, 12 a piece. They should expand it to 15, if not 18, and allow for some of these guys who are totally deserving of spots but get crowded out. As for the starters, it's fan vote, and considering it's fan vote, I think getting essentially 8 or 9 out of 10 right isn't that bad, considering the fans vote. Lillard
Maybe, yeah.
was the big story in the off season. It doesn't
You
surprise me that he got
you
voted
think
in.
you think that the other fan bases are kind of hating the Celtics fan bases and the team and the success or something?
No, I don't think that. I think it's fans are voting based off of largely reputation. They're
Mm-hmm.
voting based off of
Uh-huh.
whatever the current
Mm-hmm.
narratives are, and Lillard was a big
Right, right.
story. Certainly he's a great player. He's an all-star caliber player. You could probably make the argument that a couple of other guards in the East maybe deserve that spot, the starting spot over him. But I don't have a problem with it. Certainly considering, again, it was the fan vote and his the pursuit of him in the offseason by the Heat, and then he ends up with the Bucks, and then that cascades a couple of deals involving the Celtics off of that. He was a big story in the offseason. So it doesn't surprise me that, he captured a large share of the fan vote. I'm really excited to see, guys like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Tyrese Halliburton get recognized by the fans. I think that's a feather in the fans' caps, right? That they recognize that, hey, these are 2 guys who are young, maybe not household names, but, have put themselves, at least in the beginning part of the season, into the conversation, with other all-star level players. Halliburton, I believe, will probably miss the game because of the injury he suffered, of course, against the Celtics a few weeks ago. Durant, it's not quite to the same level as LeBron, but that's similar to the LeBron vote, right? Could you make an argument that, a guy like Anthony Edwards deserves it over him this season? Sure. But he's Kevin Durant. It's got the name recognition there. It's not like he's playing poorly, right? He's still an all-star level player. So, I think you could quibble with the fan vote, but overall, I think as a fan vote, it isn't bad. So, we'll see what the coaches, do with their reserve selection and the players. And like I said, I expect Jaylen Brown to be on there. I think that would be a huge miss if he wasn't added to the roster. If Porzingis doesn't make it, it's a numbers game. If White doesn't make it, it's again a numbers game, and he doesn't quite have the same sort of offensive reputation as some of these the other players in the league. Which, let's face it, offense is what gets rewarded in a game like this. And a guy like Trae Young, who's having a phenomenal offensive season, for a team that's struggling to stay above water, and he doesn't play a lot of defense. Would I rather have Derek White than him for this Celtics roster? Absolutely, right. But does that mean that Trae Young isn't deserving of an All-Star? Yeah, I wouldn't say that.
For years before this Brad Stevens era, I have been criticizing the Celtics rosters because of construction of the rosters at the guard position, because we had like kind of undersized guards, and some of our guards were one-sided, but right now we have the two guards that are tall, that are strong frame, that are two-way players, and I can freely say the best backcourt, two-way backcourt in the league. So this case, if by any case Tyrese Haliburton, if he misses the All-Star game because of injury, like you said, I think that Jaylen Brown should be in, because the Celtics are number one team at the league, the best team in the league, and I think Reggie Miller said, saying that Derek White should be an all-star. At one point, you must start rewarding winning. At one point, you must start rewarding winning and not voting based on your personal preference. You like one guy and you vote based on this. But like you said, it's combined voting, and never mind. This is the starters for tonight for the Clippers without Porzingis: Holiday, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Al Horford in the place of injured Kristaps Porzingis. And let me give you update on the Clippers game before we proceed. Clippers are actually leading 19-11 in the first 3:34 left, so we will see what happens there. Mentioning Kristaps Porzingis, I found the statistics that I have been looking for. We are missing tonight Porzingis, and again, like I said, I'm expecting the Celtics to win the game against the Clippers, of course. But like you said, Clippers are not easy opponent. About Porzingis, I'm expecting him to be in the game and to finish. About the All-Star, if Haliburton is out, I surely expect Brown to be starter, and I surely expect, for example, White to be on the bench. Chance for him. So Porzingis is drawing a foul in 34% of his post-up possessions. By far, this is the highest of any qualifying players. So he is drawing the foul in 34% of his post-up possessions. This is by far the highest of any qualifying player. Porzingis is also making 69% of his field goals in the post-ups. Also, easily, this is the highest of any qualifying players. So Kristaps Porzingis is obliterating the mismatches. This is something that we missed in the previous years, because we can play different styles of playing. When the teams are switching on Porzingis, you saw that we can play high-low game, and we can give the ball to Porzingis to kill at the mismatches, and he is really obliterating the mismatches this year. What do you say?
Yeah, and you just said it right there at the end. It's the mismatches, right? This isn't your 80s style low post offense, post ups, where the big guy goes down, tries to get position in the paint, and you feed him an entry pass. The Celtics are posting him up off of switches where he gets a mismatch on a guy who's, you know, 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", or even, mismatches with a guy like Porzingis, and he's just able to overpower them. So the conventional wisdom in the past, 4 or 5 years, the way the game has evolved, have been that post-ups are, your sort of your lowest efficiency possessions, but the way the Celtics are using them has been a real weapon, and they've turned into extremely high efficiency possessions, not just because of sort of schematically what they're doing with them. It's the scheme plus the guy, right? They've got a guy who is, 7'3", has, nice touch in the low post, and you put him down there in a mismatch, and it's almost a guaranteed basket or a foul. And, like you said, they're using it as a weapon. It's not sort of the sole focus of their offense, but it's something they can go to, as a change of pace. It's something they can go to in certain types of possessions, when, they need to get a good offensive look. They can, slow the play down and scheme and get him a mismatch in the post. So, yeah, it's been great to watch that this season.
Okay, I have more Kristaps Porzingis interesting stats. Maybe I'm bothering somebody with Kristaps Porzingis stats, but he's playing great. The previous week he had 18 assists. Kristaps Porzingis had more assists in the past week, 18, than in the previous 6 weeks combined, 15. So he had 7 assists against Indiana. He had 4 assists against Milwaukee. He had 5 assists against Houston, and he had 2 assists against Toronto. So isn't it good when you have high intelligent guy who can assist when he's double teamed at the low post or high post? So this is making the Celtics so tough to guard, which is something that Porzingis himself said. So he said, when we are in the right mood, and when we're playing the Celtics basketball, unselfish basketball, we are really tough to stop. That's what Porzingis said, right?
Yeah, and honestly, that's the thing that surprised me most about him this season. I came in, after they made the trade, I thought, he'd be a really good fit for the team, and was just hoping sort of the years in exile in Denver, and in Washington and in Dallas before that, hadn't sort of ruined him as a player. But the thing I've been most surprised about is his passing. He's a much more skilled passer than I thought I ever realized, and some of that might have been. In Washington, he wasn't playing with very talented teammates, and that probably diminished his passing ability. And of course, in Dallas, he was in a very different role. He was spotting up in the corner and waiting for Luka to maybe
he was
not
pass, happy.
Right? Yeah,
he was not happy in Dallas. He said
he's fit in so well with the Celtics this year as a passer, and that's always been a staple of their offense. If you look at all the years in both stints, Horford has been there. That's been one of his strengths as a passer, and so I think they rely on that front court and interior passing to really sort of make the offense go to that other level. And you've seen particularly his connection with Brown has been incredible. The backdoor passes, the passes out of the pick and roll has just been really, really fun to watch.
Okay, to finish with Porzingis, amongst the top 50 scoring leaders in the NBA, Kristaps Porzingis is having the lowest field goal attempts per game. He's having 12.4 field goal attempts, and he still averaged almost 20 points per game, 19.8 points per game to be exact. So what an efficiency, considering he struggles from the 3 points range. His low post play is making the game changer. for the Celtics. He's not the best three-point shooter at the Celtics, but he can score like I can know informations like 33, 34% for three. But like in previous block, we spoke about it. His low post play is making the change for the Celtics because he's making 69% of his two-point shoots, which is ridiculous and automatic. About Porzingis, I have been listening him in JJ Redick podcast that you mentioned, and he said in Dallas he was not mature, he was young, and he was angry because he is not the focal point of the offense like he was in New York Knicks, and he was standing in the corner waiting for the ball, and that's why he requested the trade, if I'm correct, in Dallas, and he was sent to Washington. In Washington, actually, he had the most efficient season in his career previously coming to Boston. So we are fortunate enough to, be in the position to use exile from Washington, like you said, and get Kristaps Porzingis in his prime. I mean, maybe this is an exaggeration, but this is similar. Like we got, Kevin Garnett in his prime. I really hope that this will be the case, and we if we win the championship, right? And we can compare Porzingis' game to Kevin Garnett's game. I mean, Kristaps is even more modern type of center than Garnett, but never mind. That's it, practically. And I must say that you're surprised with his assists and his basketball intelligence, and I'm surprised with his defense because every analyst in Washington and in Celtics, they were saying like the defense, especially low post defense, is his weakness, because with Porzingis, they say you must have drop coverage of the pick and rolls, so you will leave the middle of the 2 point. You will leave the 2 points to the opponents, free shoots and the 3-point shoots. But actually, he is good post defender. He's good rim protector, And they were saying like we will be missing Robert Williams and his rim protection, but we don't, right? Thanks to him.
Yeah. I mean, certainly. I think there's something to the idea of the low post defense, if he's playing against a big physical center, but there aren't that many of those guys around, right? There's Embiid, and the Celtics have shown that they're able to scheme him and take him out of the game. So, in terms of the rim protection, I mean, he's 7'3", he's got great lateral quickness. Like you said, he's an intelligent player. He's fit right in seamlessly there. And, Time Lord was a phenom, defensively. He was so fun to watch there.
Absolutely.
He up his feet multiple times.
Absolutely.
Efforts. But, it's night and day, no comparison offensively between the two. So,
absolutely.
I don't think they've missed Williams at all. And of course, unfortunately, Robert Williams is injured and missed quite a bit of time in Portland this season. And apparently he's on the trade block again. Portland's looking to move him. But Porzingis has fit in great on both sides of the ball. The big thing's going to be keep him healthy. A guy like that, 7'3", slender frame, is those guys tend to be very prone for the lower, body, lower leg injuries. And we've seen that, a couple times this season. So it's something they're going to have to manage and watch through. And the good thing is in the regular season, they have enough front. They can miss him for a couple of games. Certainly they've got Horford, who you don't want playing back-to-backs, but can if he needs to. Cornette, the team trusts him, very much defensively. And, he's shown some bursts offensively here and there. He's a good, solid role player. And Cueto's been fun to watch, right? You're never quite sure what he's going to get. Can you keep him on the court with the fouls? But, he's shown some fairly high ceiling moments at times as well, too. So, it's going to be a big focus, and particularly the second half of the season, is keeping Porzingis healthy and fresh and ready to go for the playoffs. And, the Celtics learned last Eastern Conference Finals, what can happen with a turned ankle at the wrong time. So, once you get to that point in the playoffs, it's kind of, hope for the best.
Yeah, and you mentioned that our guy Robert Williams is on the trade block in Portland. Let's trade our guy Luke Cornett and maybe a couple of other guys for Robert Williams.
Oh, that's funny. I actually mentioned his dad. I said Frank Cornett, of course, is Luke's dad. Was an NBA player. I
Uh-huh.
occasionally make that mistake.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, let's look the Clippers 34-26. The Clippers are looking to make surprise in Boston tonight, it seems, but I will log in after the show to watch this game. Meanwhile, the Philadelphia is trying to push the champions to the edge. 1991 again, extremely good game for Philadelphia, considering without four starters. The Celtics without Porzingis tonight. Let's talk about the Denver game a little. I mean, it was painful loss considering we played in the home court. We played against the champions. This is 100-100. This is not like. I mean, this is not the end of the world, of course, and I hopefully we will be meeting Denver Nuggets in the finals this year. I am really expecting this kind of finals, Denver Boston. So the Celtics had two chances at the end of the game to lead the game into the overtime. Jason Tatum, and he missed. I mean, it happens, and we have tons of articles in which the analysts are trying to criticize the Celtics, and they're drawing the conclusion. They are saying like this: the Celtics are a good team, but they are only regular season team, and they are quoting losses that the Celtics had against the top teams. Like we lost from Minnesota, if I'm correct, once, from Denver, from Milwaukee, and whom else? From somebody else at Oklahoma City Thunder. Yeah. So they're quoting that because of those kind of losses that are schedule losses, injury kind of losses, or just simple mistakes at the end of the game, they are drawing the conclusion that the Celtics are not good playoff team. I don't know how, I don't know why, but never mind. Do you have any comments on this kind of nonsense?
I mean, the Celtics have been to the finals once, have been to the conference finals three additional times. They're obviously a good playoff
Yeah,
team, right? And
yeah.
it's you play good teams, you play the other top teams, and
Five,
you're gonna lose. You're gonna
four,
lose
four,
some.
ti- 4 times or 5 times in the Eastern Conference Finals in the last 6 years. One finals, and this is bad playoff team. I mean, only idiot can say that, right?
Yeah, and even this season, yeah, they have some losses against some of the top teams. That's what happens when
Absolutely,
they've got the toughest. They
absolutely.
played the toughest or the second toughest schedule in the league, so they have more of those.
Yeah,
They've
yeah.
got the best record against certainly other 500 teams, and I believe the best record in
500
the league
plus.
against teams that are in the top 10 right
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, like I would like you're going to lose games, right? Even some of the best team, even the best teams in the league win. Lose 15, 20 games a year, right? And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the majority of those, if you're a very good team, are going to be against other very good teams. That's just the way the NBA works. And listen, that
Yeah,
Denver game was, I didn't find it painful. I found it really fun to watch, right? The result wasn't
yeah,
what I was hoping for, but it's a
yeah,
January
yeah, yeah.
game, right? Against the defending
Absolutely.
champion, and it felt like a playoff game. It was a battle right down to the
Yeah,
wire. Two very good offensive teams, yet also good defensive teams. It was a low, relatively
yep,
speaking, for this season, a relatively low scoring game. And you saw great players going back and forth, making great plays. I mean, what are we doing here, right? If a loss in January to the defending champions is a reason to start questioning a team's capabilities, and listen, Denver was considered a bad playoff team before last season, and now they're the champions, right? You're not a champion, you're not championship material until you are. And when the Celtics, if they're able to win it this year, then a lot of that talk will quiet down. So I don't read into it. It's funny, right? Nobody's saying that about Philadelphia. Philadelphia hasn't won. right? Nobody's, in Milwaukee, of course, is one, but the roster's changed pretty significantly since then. And of course, still have Giannis, but most of the rest of that squad is gone. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty. Again, I would maybe this is another subject that we will talk until the end of the show. Maybe the Celtics will stand the pat again. Like you said, they have trust in the bench guys like Luke Cornett, even the third stringers, right? I mean, I would want the Celtics to add one or two players, but I mean, what can you say when the team is the best team in the NBA? So they have absolutely reason. Brad Stevens will have absolutely right if he stands the pat right now. Again, I think that he said that he's having the green light from Wycliffe Grusbeck to add the player to cross the tax line if necessary, because they are seeing this is the chance to win the championship. And the positive side, the negative side is those misses at the end of the game. It was fun game, playoff finals preview, like you said. The negative side is the positive side, pardon, is Kristaps Porzingis again against Nikola Jokic, because if you want to win the NBA series against the Denver Nuggets, you must have the player that is going to go toe to toe, head to head with Nikola Jokic, and to counter his points, his offense, and to guard him. And I think that Kristaps Porzingis that night outplayed Nikola Jokic. And this is my positive note for that game, right?
yeah, I mean that first quarter was something to watch. Between Porzingis and Jokic, and of course, Porzingis. I don't know if he ran out of gas. I don't know if he got tired or what, but they sort of went away from him. And on the Denver side, Murray really picked it up in the second and particularly the third quarters. And
Mm-hmm.
Celtics struggled offensively a little bit, but yeah, that was a great matchup to watch, and that'll be a key. If those are the two teams that meet in the finals, that'll be a key, marquee matchup there. As for the Celtics adding anybody, ahead of the deadline, I think the most likely scenario is, they sign a buyout player, a veteran
Candidate.
player, moves on from some team. They buy him out. Celtics can bring him in for cheap money to add some veteran insurance for playoff time. I would be shocked if any of the top six, probably even seven players are involved in any kind of deal, given how well they've been playing. I guess with Pritchard, you could sort of, say, well, if the right deal came along,
For
for a
the right deal.
veteran,
For the right deal.
maybe
Mm-hmm.
they would move him. But even then, I think that's pretty, far fetched. If there is a trade, again, it's more likely, a team looking to shed longer term salary and, would involve, a combination of guys, sort of on the bench, the Lamar Stevens, O'Shea Brissett, folks like that packaged together to match salary to bring somebody in. But I'd say the most likely scenario is they find a buyout candidate or two that they can, that are veterans that can, come in and give them a little bit of playoff insurance.
I agree. I would keep Richard because he is the best scorer of the bench. But for the right deal, why not? I totally agree with you about the combination. Plus, we have trade exceptions. Plus, we have picks, so we can make a trade. Again, if I would try to find some scorer of the bench or the big guy of the bench again. Maybe this is just my obsession. Maybe they will not do anything, like you said, some buyout candidate. Anyway, we must mention that Jrue Holiday prefers to stay with the Celtics the long term, and I would like that to happen because Jrue Holiday has a player option on his contract for the next season that is worth 37.3 millions. The veteran guard is widely expected to opt out of that option at the end of the season. Brian Robb reported that Holiday revealed he would prefer to remain with the Boston Celtics moving forward. As such, the veteran guard hoping he can negotiate a contract extension once the Celtics are allowed to begin negotiations. Current NBA rules stop a team from negotiation a new contract for 6 months after acquiring a player via trade, meaning that the Celtics could start negotiations in April. So I would like to be here, Holiday said. I feel like I'm getting more and more comfortable, loving these guys, organization, loving the city. My last extension was during the course of the year. I think that we can do both, talk about it, as well as prepare for games and prepare for what the future is. Holiday emerged as a core part of the rotations. Mazzulla has entrusted Holiday to being a diverse defender, splitting his team between the point of attack and cross mismatches with opposing bigs. On the offense, Holiday has been entrusted to be a three-level scorer who takes intelligent shoots rather than chasing quick buckets. The Celtics will likely be keen on extending the partnership with Holiday so that their core is intact, top six players. Then they can turn their attention towards becoming a perennial contender for the next few years, hopefully winning the multiple championships along the way. I totally agree. Again, there is no big philosophy. We found the chemistry, we found the core. What we should do in the next years is to build on that core top six players, change the bench, change the players from 7 to 15 or to 18 if you count out the two-way contracts, but I would not change the core. What do you say?
Absolutely. Yeah. If they're able to, if Holiday wants to be back, if they can make it work cap wise, which they should be able to, then absolutely you'd want to continue to see him in green. I mean, the Celtics are extremely fortunate, right? They went after Porzingis hard in the offseason. The original plan was to deal away Brogdon and for Porzingis. That fell apart because of the Clippers at the last minute, and the Celtics had to sacrifice Marcus Smart as part of that. And I can't think of a better case scenario, after that has happened, for a guy like Jrue Holiday to end up on the market. Right? I mean, talk about a perfect fit, after losing a guy like Smart, who is the key to so much of their defensive flexibility. And, Holiday fits right into that same role. Earlier in the season, they were having a lot of luck running a 2-2-1 zone. While the ball was above the free throw line, and Holiday was the guy roaming the back line, picking up the cutters, or you mentioned the big guys back there, and that type of flexibility they had with Smart, and they were able to replace it with a Holiday. And Holiday might be even a better fit offensively than Smart was. Certainly,
you're saying. Look at the picture. Sorry for interrupting you.
Oh, no, it's great.
Highest corner 3 points percent. Who is at the top? Holiday. Our guy, 62.5%, 32 field goal attempts. So he's really, the force from the corner. Then you have Conley, Beasley.
He's not known as a 3-point shooter, but he knows sort of the spots on the court where, he's an effective shooter there, and he's been sort of maximizing those this season. He seems to strike a great balance of taking the ball to the basket. You don't see him taking a lot of mid-range shots. There's usually, he'll do, either, get the ball all the way to the rim or take some type of floater, down close to the basket, or take a three. And he's been super effective. And one of the, certainly Porzingis has sacrificed a little bit of his game. We talked about him only taking the 12 shots a game. Holiday is another guy who's made a sacrifice this season, but it seems to fit with his character. He doesn't seem like he wants to or needs to be in the spotlight, and he's just fit in so well with the team. So it's really encouraging to hear that he's enjoying his time in Boston and wants to come back.
Okay. Meanwhile, we are slowly finishing the show again. Denver Nuggets are struggling to depleted Philadelphia team. 4 minutes or something to go. They are playing like 96-96. Our Celtics are meanwhile struggling with the Clippers. The Clippers are leading 43-30 with 5 minutes left in the second period. So we are playing without Porzingis. Leonard 12, Harden 9, Tyrese Mann 8 in Boston. You have Tatum 10, you have Brown and Holiday 4 points, Cornette from the bench 6 points, and Sam Hussier 3 points, 2 rebounds. So Pritchard has 3. So we are everybody's talking about trading Cornette, but Cornette is solid. 6 points, 1 rebound, and 1 block, and 1 foul on him. So the guy is making case to stay on the Celtics along the way. Hopefully that we will win the Clippers, and hopefully, like you said, the top priority for the Celtics in the until the end of regular season will be to conclude the show, and we're going to go to watch the Celtics Clippers, of course, with the other Celtics guys. The top priority will be for the Celtics, in my opinion, first to win the first place at the Eastern Conference, and if we can, the first place at the whole NBA. And number 2, to stay healthy prior to the playoffs. And number 3, if we can, to make kind of, Brad Stevens type of trades, low cost but big importance. I mean, Brad Stevens has the nose. He proved to has the nose to dig out important players for low cost trade exceptions, picks, or small price. If he makes that kind of trades, I would be happy. So those 3 things. So to win the first place NBA, to stay healthy, especially guys like Porzingis, Horford, and the others, of course. And number 3, if we can make a trade or sign some 1 or 2, because we have 1 open roster spot, if we can sign some buyout candidate or 2, or if we can make some small trades, I would be happy. So what do you say?
Close. I would say for me, health is the number 1 priority. I don't mind
Okay.
sacrificing some games to get guys rest or manage injuries, even if it costs them the number 1 spot, right? I'd love to get that number 1 spot, and I'd put that as the number 2 priority. And then for me, the number 3 priority, while I think they will add somebody as a buyout candidate, et cetera, the number 3 priority for me is really to see if they can develop one of those guys they already have on their bench, right? To be
The young guys.
to be a reliable offensive contributor, a playoff
Mhm,
contributor. So,
mhm.
Pritchard has sort of been on the cusp of that in the past. It might be him. He's probably the leading candidate right now. Maybe it's a Hauser. Maybe it's a Shea
Hauser.
Brissett.
Hauser
Maybe
Brissett.
it's a
Mhm.
maybe it's a Cornet or a Queta, right? But if they can get one of those guys where you've got no qualms about giving them 15 minutes and playing them in crucial moments in the playoffs, I think that'll be huge for this team.
Okay, Rich, that's the end of the show with you. The time is flying. I will let you, of course, to rest and to, watch the Celtics, of course, with the Clippers. The Celtics are losing to the Clippers. Hopefully, we can win this game in Boston. Just to clarify that I was saying, the one of the goals are number 1 place, because we have like 21 and 1 20
Mhm.
or 21 and 1 record in the NBA at home. And if we defeat the Clippers, we will have like 22 22 and 1 record in TD Garden in Boston. So if we can secure the home court, I don't think that there is a team, Denver including, that can defeat us in Boston. Maybe I am totally wrong, but maybe I'm biased, but that's what I think. That's why I
Mhm.
say that the home court matters, especially in the playoffs, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, what you will be doing in the future? Tell me for the end of the show, and we are gone.
Yeah, more of the same. I love coming on this show. Not really doing a lot of other sort of sports related podcasting or blogging right now, focusing mainly sort of on my day job in tech, but also the tech podcasts. CDC Tech&Life Podcast, look for it on Apple Podcasts, Android Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you find your podcasts.
Thanks. The best of luck at Rich Conte Twitter, at Tech&Life Podcast, like he says. And listen to this man. The man is one of the most intelligent Celtics bloggers, podcasters, and wise man. Always pleasure to have you on the show. My man, thanks for helping me tonight. We kind of had a relaxed show. I didn't want to bother you with statistical informations, analysis, and I love the most those kind of shows. But the people can learn a lot from you, hopefully. The best of luck. We will call you again, and go Celtics tonight, right?
Go Celtics.
Okay, that was Richard Conte from Tech&Life Podcast. You have been listening Shamrock Sports Talk Show, Season 1, Episode 49, Trade Deadline Talk, Denver loss, the Celtics future, and updates from the Philadelphia and Denver. Denver 103-98. And the last words, let me see how the Celtics are doing. So the Celtics are losing 52-37 from the Clippers, minus 15, but we will see how the Celtics will do in the second half. Go Celtics again, and talk with you the next week, hopefully.
Thank you for listening to the Shamrock Sports Talk Show. We're here every Saturday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are the best 4-leaf lucky show in the area. This show comes to you by way of the In the Zone Sports Talk Show Network, LLC. And be sure to download the Try99 TV app on any smart device and subscribe to In the Zone Sports Talk Television. The cost is $4.95. Thank you in advance for your support. Hello, and thank you for tuning into the In the Zone Sports Talk Show Network, LLC, where you can find the best in sports talk television and radio shows. Mondays, check out the Just Us Sports Talk Show from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with your hosts, Kevin L. Dixon and Dana Clark. Then Tuesday, we have the Stars Talking Cowboys Sports Show from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern with your hosts, Sean Fox, K Boogie, and Cowboys Nikki. And on Wednesday, tune in for the Out the Block Sports Talk Show from 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with hosts Robert Lewis, Donna Hainsworth, and Brett Shields. Then meet up with us on Saturday for the Enhanced Sports Talk Show from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern with hosts Lou Tenor and Steve Davidson. We also have the DMV Sports Talk Show from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern with your host Razul McGee. As well, we have the Shamrock Sports Talk Show from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern with Igor Mitic and Andy Vernon. Finally, rounding out the week, we have on Sunday, That's Not How We See It Sports Talk Show from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern with your hosts, Alfred Wallace, Tony Wallace, and Harold Robinson III. These shows come to you by way of the In the Zone Sports Talk Show Network, LLC. Be sure to download the Try99 TV app on any smart device and subscribe to In the Zone Sports Talk Television. The cost is $4.95. Thank you in advance for your support.